Hello all, this is Freddie Williams. I'm a DC Comics illustrator, and in this two-part video, I am drawing Batman. Nathan Wilson from the Comics Journal approached me about showing kind of the inception process of starting with a script and then structuring out a figure and then drawing it. I just really wanted to draw Batman, so I decided to go back to Robin number 182. There was a bit of an iconic shot of Batman and Robin swinging above Gotham City. I decided to redraw Batman there based on the rough that I'd already come up with back on that issue, just to redraw him, but this time to record it so you could see the process of me structuring out the figure and then tightening up that structure. I'm sorting through my Photoshop file that has the original colors, the original inks that were done in the hybrid method, the original wireframes, and then the roughs. Here I even go to the script that shows, I basically turn anything that is, spoken dialogue or whatever, or credits or sound effects, light blue, so hopefully you can see that, but it's not entirely necessary. It just shows that, kind of the setup of the file. After that, I do a roughs of the page based on the script, and I even indicate where dialogue balloons will be that, the lettering artists don't always follow exactly, but it gives an indication of where I'd like it to be. The first thing I do is I usually create a rough, but here we already have one created. As you can see, it's really simple sort of geometric shapes and stuff. And just concerned about overall composition and placement, not so much about anatomy. Over the top of a rough sketch, I'll make a hue saturation adjustment layer that'll turn in Photoshop, that'll make everything underneath it look lighter blue, so that it still kind of looks like a non-photo blue drawing. And then make a new layer on top of that, and then start sketching a little bit of a tighter drawing. And you can kind of repeat that process until the drawing is as tight as you want it to be. This process is laid out in quite a bit of detail in my how-to book, The DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics. It's been a little while since I recorded myself drawing this, so I'm watching it with you the first time, kind of all over again. And oftentimes I simply just use a controlled scribble to sketch out my figures. I think it helps you get past a lot of the artist block or performance anxiety or perfection paralysis, whatever you'd like to call it, because you're not trying to draw something very tight up front. You're going into it knowing that this is supposed to be messy, and it's part of the creative process, I guess. So. Here I just flip the drawing. It just helps show me if something looks off, I don't know, out of proportion or asymmetrical or something like that. And I do that quite a few times throughout this video, where at different points I'm kind of I'm double checking my work, where I just flip the drawing to see if it looks out of proportion or something weird to me. And of course, in the original drawing of Batman, he's inside of a panel border, so you don't get to see as much of his cape. But here I went pretty crazy with the shape of it and this big iconic sort of Batwing look. And I just made a new hue saturation adjustment layer, stacking. As you can see, it makes the last lines that I drew that were in black, it makes those look non-photo blue, and then the original rough drawings that are on the layer called roughs so light blue that they're almost invisible. But if I need to double check or kind of see what I was sketching before, I can turn off those hue saturation adjustment layers, and everything is still contained there. I haven't done any permanent changes to the pixels. They're still there if I want to save any of that stuff or reuse it or something, if I want to refer back to it for any reason. So most of this is going to be noodling, but both Nathan and I were speaking about how a lot of the online content that shows people sketching or working, especially in comics, does not show the foundational structure process, where people are, the artist is sketching out all the structure. So I wanted to capture that. And I'm playing this pretty much in real time. I think I've sped it up just a little bit to compress it for so that I can get this into 2 videos, and hopefully to decrease boredom factor. Occasionally I'll be sketching a face or a hand or something like that, and I'll move away from that element and come back to it, back and forth, and that's just so that I have a fresh eye on whatever element that I'm drawing. So here I'm not entirely happy with the placement of the arm of Batman's right arm. So I just lassoed it and moved it to its own layer, and then started nudging it around. Some of the luxuries of working digitally, especially in your sketch process, is that if something is scaled or rotated in a way that you don't like, you can fix that pretty easily. And here I'm just grabbing a hold of the structure of his legs on the lower under sketching and extending his waist. So I just move down the structure drawing of his legs. Here creating sketching out Batman's arms. Looking for powerful shapes, especially in his shoulder, his forearm, and then his hand shape, to try to make him look pretty strong. It's always weird to watch a recording of me drawing later, because it feels I don't know, I guess I don't know that I jump around that much. It feels natural whenever I'm doing it, but looking back at it, it looks kind of it's kind of distracting. I have lots of fun. I like drawing rib cages because they're they're filled with muscle, but they're also, convex, concave into the body. I'm going to give him a big, thick neck, because I think he works out a little bit. Up here we have just kind of like his grappling hook launcher gun. I'm sure he has a million models of these, so this one I just made a big cylinder. I think I was probably thinking of the Batman animated TV show, like the Bruce Timm version. He oftentimes had what looked like a gun handle and then this huge barrel to shoot out the grapple hook. Here I had just made I just adjusted the layers. I guess I did that so that the bat symbol would stick out a little bit more. I don't really remember having done that, so I was kind of surprised to see me do it just now. I had liked the structure of the legs that I'd done in the breakdowns. I grabbed a hold of those, lassoed off the legs, duplicated that layer, and then moved it above. I'm flipping the figure again to double check the work to see if the structure looks sound. Here I begin the process of drawing the more finalized version, the wireframe version of Batman. Up until now, I would call all of those steps working on the establishing the breakdowns, which is like working out all the structure. It's kind of the in-between step between the rough between the rough layout stage and the more finished anatomy drawing that I call wireframes. Wireframes I lay out in the how-to book as well, but they're basically tight structure drawings that are devoid of shadow or texture or anything. They don't usually indicate any sort of line weight. They're just like, they almost look like coloring book drawings or something like that. It's like if everything was in perfect lighting, you could see everything. But wireframes are a step that I created because back whenever I was first starting out drawing, if I knew I was, having trouble drawing the anatomy of a certain area and got frustrated, I would kind of skip the breakdown stage almost, or kind of cut it short, and then jump over and start, rendering it and putting stuff into shadow to cover up my mistakes because I didn't know how to draw that area of the body or something. And I noticed, I recognized that as a weakness, and so I decided to do wireframe drawings to force myself to draw those areas, and then in the inking stage, or if I was doing, hybrid pencils or something, I could always cover up those areas with shadow, but that way I at least felt like I had worked through them, and I could apply any lighting scheme. I wouldn't be kind of a prisoner to that. Here I made a new layer group in Photoshop called Batman, and I'll oftentimes do this even when I'm working in inks, but specifically here with wireframes, just make a layer group called the name of Batman here, and then as I accumulate layers, like as I'm about to draw like a part of the arm or his hand or something, I might make a new layer to draw that body part on. And after a while you accumulate quite a few layers, and at the end of the figure drawing though, I just click on that layer group and merge that group, and then even if there's 100 layers inside of it, it'll all merge it down to one layer, and then I can move forward from there. But it's a way that I can work on as many layers as I feel kind of obsessive compulsively desire to work on, to keep all the elements on different pieces that I can move around, and then at the end easily merge them all together, because I'm not a big fan of working on one single layer. I'm kind of a layers junkie. At least that's what I've been that's what I've been told in the past. So I keep renoodling with the shape of his wrist and the shape of his forearm, because although you want bulk in the mass of the muscles or whatever, you also want some sort of you want to cheat with the flexibility or the movement of it, just to give the feeling that there's more motion happening. I would rather err, if there's a figure in motion, I'd rather err on the side of them looking too limber or too, I don't know, too flexible or whatever, than looking too stiff. Hopefully that creates more energy, Another way for me to check my work is to constantly zoom in and out. I'm not sure exactly what percentage I'm working at here as far as the view size percentage. It's probably around 200% or something like that. Zooming out to 25, whatever, 30%. Usually I hit, I just zoom out 2 or 3 levels, or sometimes just hit Command 0 on the keyboard, which will knock me out where the entire document will fit on the screen. Helps to give perspective of what it is that I'm drawing here. Here I just moved, just drawing his abs. Liked the shape of the abs that I was drawing, but they were a little bit disconnected from the upper abs, so I just moved them up real quick. And here I'm double checking the work again, flipping it back and forth, just to make sure that there's no, and I'll do this even, I won't just do this with a single figure, I'll do it with an entire composition. I do that quite a bit actually, and it usually happens in this wireframe stage here. I don't do it so much in the rough stage, it's mainly in the wireframe stage, just to make sure that I don't have odd tangents in the composition, have weirdness, in quotes weirdness, that's the most scientific word I can think of, weirdness.